cool. All right, so we're going to start with the IBM one. It's the image recognition one. All right, so we'll start by creating an account. I will show you guys how to do that. So go to the link on the, do you guys know how to use Google Colab? Yeah, who doesn't know how to use Google Colab? Raise your hand. No? Okay. So what you want to do is open up a new tab, type in, actually, if you go to this thing and then you hit, if you double click on the notebook, you should be able to open in Google Colab if you're signed into Google. So if anyone who hasn't done that yet, let me know. And then if you have any questions, raise your hand. Because if you can open this thing, then yeah, it's as simple as that. Okay, you guys won't be able to edit this one, but if you go to open in Playground, it should be on the top here somewhere. Click on that and it'll create like a duplicate into your account. All right, so for whoever still needs help getting the API key, I'll do it one more time. Please pay attention. Okay, so you go back to this first link right here, which opens up this thing. Hit Get Started Free. If you're already logged in, hit Log Out and just close the tab. Hit Get Started Free one more time. It should load. Give it a sec. All right, hit Log In on the top right corner. Go ahead and log in with your account. And then the first page that comes up should be your API key. Which is right here. Just hit the copy button, and then you would have it copied to your keyboard. Go back to your workshop Python notebook. Paste it in between the two quotes. What? Do the Control Plus. Yeah. Oh shit. All right, everybody good with that? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move on because we need to finish this. So go back to the Google Drive, that link, and then download each of the zip files. I think if you download this whole thing, it will be the whole zip file, but I will see.
As soon as you log in, it should show up here, right? Yeah, right, that's where this is. Where's the
And then unzip the files if you haven't done so already. Go back to your Python notebook, hit this little left or right arrow here. Go to Files, hit Upload, and then upload the zip files. So once you get your data, select it all, and then upload it. Hit OK. And then this stuff should upload to your Google Colab notebook. Might take a few seconds, but it'll get up there. Okay, so the way that this API works, you upload it through a curl command. So start by copying your API key without the quotes. And then go to API key and paste your API key there. Everybody got that? Cool? Good. And then for Beagle examples, give me a sec. So you're going to do @beagle.zip. So you just add that after the equal sign.
just the top of the left and increase it a little bit more to start.
Yeah. And then,
Should we upload the files as zip files?
yes, upload them as zip files. Yeah, thanks.
Does Google parse those files? Is it unzipped?
It's just in a zip file. The way that the API works, it just sends the whole zip file up. Fuck what I called it. Golden retriever. Okay, so basically put the beagle.zip here, husky.zip, golden retriever.zip. Don't forget your @ sign. And there too. And then give your classifier a name. And then go ahead and run it. Yeah. You still need the @ sign. Yeah, you just don't need the exclamation point if you're running it. Actually, just try running that and let me know what happens. Because I don't know.
With the @ sign?
Yeah, with the @ sign. I don't know. How do you spell husky? Yeah, I don't know how to spell husky. My bad. Did anybody get theirs to upload already? Nobody? Did the command work? Okay, cool. Okay, so you should get something like this that tells you the classifier and then the different classes in there. So to check if your thing's actually training, you want to copy down, well, paste the API key in this command over here. Same one from before, yes.
It's a C, a curl command, so API key : the API.
Yeah. Check this over here. And then if you want to check on the status of your model that's training right now, you want to copy down the classifier ID. Yours will probably look different from mine. It should. And then go ahead and paste that between, like after the classifiers. And then if you run that command, it should work. Yeah. You can see it's still training right here. We can periodically check on it, and then it should say ready after it's ready.
Oh, so.
Yeah. Here or higher up?
Can you show us where you put the API key? Can you scroll up on this
So API key, you just place it in here.
under get you? Now, what about in the cell declaration? Cell above?
Same thing. If there's an API key with the colon, put the API key there.
Okay, so who is done or near someone that could probably explain to them how to get done? So, most people? You feel like we're pretty solid? Okay, so the cool thing about this is that it trains completely online. So it's going to be training on the IBM servers for a while. So we're going to move on to something else. And that other thing is called Postman. All right, okay, first, what a REST API is, why they're cool, and how we use them. So a REST API is just a standardized way to interact with the server. So if you want to put your API up for other people to use, you would use like a REST type style. Or if you're interacting with most of the APIs out there, it will have something similar to this. The cool thing about an API is it is stateless. So what that means is if you put the same input into it, you will always get the same output. But because of that, it has to know who you are based on just the inputs. That's why we get these crazy keys. So there's a couple common requests in like the internet in general. The 4 that are important are get, post, put, and delete. Get and post both do similar things, but have a different way that they do it. In Get, you have a server that you're interacting with, and then you put any extra information that you want in the same URL. So if you look at, let's see, what's a good example? I'll show you a good example later where everything happens inside the URL, whereas in Post, you send other data along through a different channel, and that's it's not more secure because anyone looking on the network can still see all that traffic, but you don't put big things right into the URL. So if you have something extremely long, you don't use get. Put is basically a way to communicate with the server that you would like to update some data. So I'm going to put some information into you. That's like the general word that we use for that. Delete does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's usually used for calls that are going to delete something. And so generally, when we're communicating with JSON or with REST APIs, they give us JSON back, and JSON is just like a dictionary in Python. It's something that has a key value pair, even if that value is another key value pair. So that's what a REST API is. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Can you explain the difference between post and put again?
Yeah. So here, I'm going to skip a little bit ahead, but I'm about to show you something called Postman, and Postman helps you make requests. So in Postman, I can make a GET request. Let's say I'm making it to some website called api.wit.ai. And then with that, I would add these extra things that are like v is equal to and q is equal to. Whereas if I'm making a post request with the same data, that would go away from my query, if that makes sense. So cool stuff. So next thing, we're going to Postman. Postman is great for hackathons because generally when you're building an application, you're going to have one side making a server, one side making a front end, and they want to communicate via some API, which is a standard way to talk to each other. But both sides don't want to have to wait for the other person to be done. So Postman fills in that role. With Postman, you can be like, okay, I'm going to send this data into me. How does my program react? Or I send this data out to the server. What am I actually sending? And you can see all that stuff with Postman. So if you want to get Postman, the download link is here. I recommend you do it. And basically, it's just an easy program that anyone can download, and it will come up looking like this. It looks a little aggressive. That's just because it's zoomed in. Normally, it's fine. So I'll give everyone like a second to download that. Just to make sure it's working, we're going to test out this fun API, which is just api.chucknorris.io. If you ping this website, basically, with your Postman, it will get a response, and you might see a Chuck Norris joke. Who knows? So just, when you guys have the Chuck Norris joke, let me know.
Chuck Norris is a baby.
He is the one. See?
So that's get request. Now what about a post request?
So if you wanted to do a post request, so the question was, that's a GET request, what about a post request? The nice thing is actually with Chuck Norris, it doesn't require any extra items, but you could just do the same post request. The interesting thing about Postman is that you can add in extra parameters and it will send them via post or GET. And so like if you're making a hackathon thing and you switch between GET and post, you can easily switch in Postman. So you don't have to design everything out. Okay, so that's Postman. It's a really great tool, great to just have on hand at hackathons. But we're going to move on to a chatbot using this cool thing called Wit.ai. So Wit.ai is not as intensive a sign up, but what you do is you make an account with Wit.ai, and it will let you make a chatbot. And the chatbot is just made by taking sentences, labeling them correctly, and then you're able to have a fully functioning chat box by only giving it like 4 sentences inputted. So I'm going to log in with my GitHub, but you can log in with anything. Okay. I'll give everyone a second, but then we're going to make a new app. Okay. I'm going to call my app TempBot tells you the temperature. So everyone, you don't have to make it public or private. It's fine the way it is. Okay, and this is just the bare bones of Wit.ai. So if I want it to get the temperature for me, I can type in something like, how hot is it today? And then I can give it an intent. So the intent, basically what it does is it looks at the sentence and it tries to figure out what the user is asking for. So Wit is about finding out what your user wants, and so you train it with sentences that are showing of what the user wants. So in this one, we want to say that our user wants, we'll call it a function getTemp, but it could be called anything, or you can make anything as long as you know what the user wants. And then when we validate, it will train and add that to our AI. So let's do another couple ones that are like, what's the temperature like? Will my ice cream melt outside today? It already thinks that that is temp, so it already knows. But we're going to add this anyways, just to validate it. And it doesn't have to just be one intent, right? Because that would be just 100% guess that. So we can add things like, sometimes we want to set temperature. So we could tell it, like, set the temp to, I don't know, 75 degrees. That's not the degree sign. Oh God. 75 degrees. I don't know how to spell degrees, so we're just going to say that's correct. The other thing Wit does is it already has some models trained to look for parts of speech. So in this scenario, it finds 75 degrees, and that's a temperature. And so it will parse that out for us, and we don't have to do any of that work. So we're going to add that by pressing this button. And then the other thing is we don't want this to get temperature. We want this to set temperature. So it's going to make a value. It's going to parse out the temperature. Fantastic. Let's give it another set. The temperature to 50 degrees. Thank you. Okay. And that is going to already predict set temperature, and it is correct that that is a degree measurement. So we're going to validate that. So now we've trained our AI. That's all it needed, which is fantastic. So to interact with it, there's a couple ways we can do it. They give us this nice curl box where you can type in like anything, and it will, you then take that curl and run it through a command line. But that's kind of weird, and I don't want to use curl. So we're going to use Postman. So the cool thing is we know that the URL it's going to want is this https api.wit.ai message. And then if you know something about URLs, generally when you see a question mark, that means start the query. And then you're going to have queries that are made of some amount of letters, equal sign, a value, and then they're going to be separated by and symbols. So in this scenario, we have, v is equal to, it looks like today's date, and q, which is the query, is equal to whatever we typed in. You can see instead of spaces, it has %20s. I don't know if that's actually visible from that distance. That's used in URLs because you can't have spaces, so it's the sign for space. But we don't want to use this. It's too hard to put that into curl. So instead, we're going to copy over this part and stick it into a new Postman request. So that is our main thing. And then we want to give it a key, Q, and the value of Q is, I think it was like 2019 something. Let me copy it. Yeah, 1014. And then another, sorry, it was V is equal to 2019. Q stands for query. And our query is it hot today? We're going to send that in, and, didn't work. The reasoning being, we don't have any authorization to use this. So Postman has this wonderful authorization tab. And we know that it's a bearer token because you can see here it says bearer. So we're going to take this bearer token, plug it into Postman. Oop. Make sure it works. Looks like it's going to work. We will see. Yes. So it has parsed our sentence and said with 97.1% accuracy that we want to get the temperature. Did anyone get that success? Nice. And you can keep adding things. If you want your Wit.ai to be more and more exact, you can keep adding sentences. The other thing you can do is run it in Python. So in Python, if you go back to the workshop code, we've got a little code just to get you started with using Wit in Python. So, yeah, that's just the download link for Postman. Here's the Wit API Python code. You're going to need your bearer token from before, so put that into access token. And then it's really easy with Wit. All you do is you do client.message. Let's see if it thinks this is about temperature at all. Gotta run. You gotta pip install Wit, so that'll take a second.
So we're posting our bearer token in the variable access token?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so we have to pip install Wit first?
Yes, but that will be taken care of since it's all inside Google Colab. Running that little line will do that for you. Is anyone having any difficulties with this?
And then client.message should be...
Yeah?
Do something?
Yeah. This should already be written out for you inside of the
Oh, so
code.
the response that we get from the server, that's the same thing as what we saw
In Postman.
Postman.
Yes. So not every API. The question was, the response we get here is the same as we got in Postman. This is true because Wit has done a great job of making this easy for us. Yes?
So in this case of it kind of providing your client with an access token, it would make it pretty easy to just implement it into a backend.
This would be super easy to implement into the backend. Wit also has some voice recognition stuff. So if you want to make an application that has voice recognition, that's an option. Yeah. With the Google Cloud you're able to, you're able to do handwriting detection, but the person that was doing that workshop is currently not here. So I think we're going to end a little bit early. So we'll post some slides about how to do the Google handwriting detection if you're interested. But other than that, I think the workshop is over.